Hey guys, so I wanted to make this short video to explain 5 super effective steps for fat loss. Now, for us Australians coming into summer, there's a lot of people out there that have that goal at the moment of trying to lose fat, and more than likely it's not the first time that they've had that goal, and for a lot of people out there it just has never been the case. So you get to summer, we try and lose a bit of body fat and we don't get to that desired physique, or we don't achieve that health and fitness goal that we set out to achieve, and it can be very demotivating, very frustrating, and can often lead us down the path of just making silly decisions with what we do with our training and nutrition, which can set us up for a really unhealthy relationship with food and training in the long run. And in the end of the day, guys, the process of losing body fat can be difficult. I'm not gonna lie, it can be tough. You've got to be disciplined. There's going to be days where you don't feel like sticking to your targets, don't feel like sticking to the steps that are required to achieve the goal. But the steps of getting there, the principles of losing body fat are fucking easy. It's super simple. And I'm going to kind of list those out for you today. So the first step, I'm going to touch on nutrition. Very simple one. And there's kind of 2 goals I want you to achieve with this first step. It's to stick to a calorie target, and it's to stick to a protein minimum. Now, the ratio of carbohydrates and fats, in my opinion, is super irrelevant for most people. It comes down to personal preference. If you know that you don't respond well to super high carbohydrates, then don't have super high carbohydrates. If you respond better to high fats or a moderate amount of both, or you do like a lot of carbs, then that choice is yours. As long as our calorie intake is set, so we're eating in a calorie deficit. Now, for those of you that don't know what a calorie deficit is, it just means that we're eating below our maintenance calorie intake. So, super simple. The easiest way to lose body fat, well, the only way to lose body fat, is to be in a negative energy balance. To achieve that, most of the time we need to be in a calorie deficit, and we also need to make sure our training's set up in a way that we're expending enough energy to do so. So our 2 goals for nutrition, which is the first step: eat in a calorie deficit anywhere from 200 to 300 calories, or 200 to 500 calories below maintenance. Now, I'm going to have a free link to my free macro calculator in the description below for you to go and check that out and use my calculator to figure out what amount of calories you should be having. The second part of the nutrition step is to make sure we are eating a certain amount of protein. In my opinion, you should be having 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. Now, that's going off the body weight that you're at now, and that's the minimum that I would like everybody to be aiming for. Those are the 2 things that you need to focus on with your nutrition, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't worry me how many meals you're eating per day. It doesn't bother me what types of food you're eating. It doesn't bother me when you're eating your carbohydrates, any of that type of shit. As long as you are sticking to mostly nutrient dense whole foods, aiming for 80 to 90% of your calories from nutrient dense whole foods, and being consistent as fuck, okay, tracking your calories every day accurately, or as close to as your targets as you possibly can, you're consistent, you will see results with the calorie deficit. Now, step number 2 is to make sure you are retaining muscle mass. Now, this is extremely important. Most people make the mistake when they try to lose body fat of completely changing their training up, going to super high reps, lightweight in the gym, and doing all this shit that they weren't doing before. And if you don't use it, you will lose it. So when it comes to retaining strength, retaining muscle mass, we need to continue to lift heavy in the rep ranges that we can continue to retain strength in. Okay, so with our compound movements, we want to be lifting heavy with perfect form, and trying to maintain our strength for as long as we possibly can. Most people find it difficult with pushing exercises such as chest, such as bench press, and then for lower body things like squats and stuff to maintain that strength as they lose weight, as they lose body fat. But the goal should be to retain strength, to retain muscle mass. Now, to do that, as I've just touched on, still continue to lift heavy as long as you can maintain perfect form. Keep a varied amount of rep ranges. Really focus on lifting, prioritizing your compound movements, and then using accessory exercises to increase your energy expenditure. Okay, so the focus still stays on the big lifts, and then we're using isolation movements to just increase our energy output, to keep the volume up with our training. But the worst thing you can do, and the big mistake that a lot of people make, is start doing lots of high reps with light weight. If your body does not need it, it will not retain it. Okay, so you try and maintain the strength, maintain the muscle mass. The more lean muscle mass that we have, the more energy, we will burn at rest, the easier it will be for us to achieve our goal of fat loss, and the better we will look when we lose the fat. Keep in mind, guys, if we've got all this fat to lose, and we've got muscle there, and we lose all this muscle in the process of losing the fat, you don't have the shape there. There's no such thing as definition. There's no such thing as tone. There's two things you can do with a muscle. You can increase or decrease the size of it. To reveal the shape and reveal the definition and the tone, you just need to lose the body fat, and that's how we achieve that defined look. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is use cardio as a tool to increase your energy expenditure if necessary. When we reach a plateau with our fat loss, it's super simple. We either slightly decrease our calories, we either slightly increase our energy expenditure, usually from cardio, unless you want to add in another strength and resistance day, or we do a tiny bit of both. Now, in this case, I'm going to talk about cardio. When you start a fat loss phase, you want to start your fat loss phase with as little amount of cardio as possible. None, if possible. The reason for that is when we reach a plateau, we want to be able to have room to move. If we start off with 7 days of cardio and we reach a plateau when our calories are already low and we're already doing resistance training, we're fucked. We have nowhere to go. And it's super, super hard to then continue to see fat loss and bust through that plateau if we're already at our maximum level. So at the start of a fat loss phase, minimal amount of training, high calories, then we have room to move. We can increase our training, our energy expenditure, we can decrease our food, and then we can continue to see results consistently over a long period of time and get to our result in a safe way. We're not going to lose body fat, we're not going to damage our metabolism, and we're not going to have a shit time because we hate training and we're not eating enough food, okay? So with cardio, use it as a tool. If you would like to increase your energy output, increase your cardio by a small amount. Okay, so you don't have to do cardio to lose body fat. 2 times that I've been the absolute leanest in my life, I have not used cardio. I've just used I've used resistance training, strength training for my energy output, and I've really been disciplined with my nutrition and calorie intake. Step number 4 is drink way more water than you're drinking right now. It's super underrated. People don't stay hydrated enough. Our muscles are made up of at least 70% water. Okay, so if we're dehydrated, you can see how much of an effect that's going to have on performance, on how our muscles actually look, the fullness of our muscles. You know, not only just the actual performance, but also our mood, our sleep, our skin, energy levels, all that type of shit. Okay, so it's underrated, and by increasing your water intake, you know, people often complain about the fact that the number on the scales is not what they'd like it to be, and often it's just water retention. Okay, our weight can go plus or minus 3 kilos in just water weight by itself, okay? And the best way to reduce our water retention in our body and not hold on to water is to drink more of it, because we'll flush it out by going to the bathroom quite often, okay? So that's one underrated part of fat loss and muscle growth and just health in general is water intake. Increase your water from whatever it is right now. I'm not going to tell you to drink a certain amount. I'm not going to say what the perfect amount is or what my opinion is with that. Drink more than what you're having now, to the point where you're going to the bathroom regularly to flush out all the excess stuff, to flush out anything that's unnecessary, and to also hold on to less water in our body, but also to perform better, okay? Because in the end of the day, if we're not performing, it doesn't matter if we're dieting, it doesn't matter if blah, 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 blah. If we're not training well in the gym and we're not expending energy and we're not looking good and we're not feeling good, then what's the point? Step number 5. Now we'll have a bonus step here as well. Step number 5 is recovery. Now, in terms of recovery, I obviously mean nutrition, I obviously mean hydration, but I'm also talking about supplementation, and I'm talking about sleep. I'm talking about foam rolling, massage therapy, you know, maybe ice baths if that's what you want to do, cryotherapy, whatever it is. But take your recovery seriously. In a fat loss phase or in any training phase, it doesn't have to be go, 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 go. Okay, there's going to be times where you need to back it off, have deloads. There's going to be times where you need to listen to your body and take a rest day. You don't have to go 100% bullet to gate the whole time, but you need to take care of your recovery, and one of the most underrated factors of that is sleep. Same applies for muscle growth. We don't grow when we're in the gym lifting weights. We grow outside of the gym while we're recovering, okay? So sleep is a super, super important part of recovery. Same with supplementation. I'm not going to recommend specific supplements in this video, but if there's supplements that you enjoy and think work well for you, help you with your recovery, whether it's a high quality protein, you know, using creatine monohydrate, whatever. I'm not saying you need to use a certain supplement, but things that I've used in the past, things like magnesium oil before bed, you know, branched chain amino acids to an extent during my training phases, high quality protein, creatine monohydrate, glutamine, all that type of stuff. These can be essential for your recovery, and recovery should be a big focus for your fat loss journey. Now, the last tip I'm going to add in here, and this is very, very, very simple and very obvious, but a lot of people just don't stick to it, is you need to be consistent as fuck. And you cannot expect this to happen overnight, so you need to be patient, okay? Be patient with this process. Be patient with the 5 steps I've just given you. everybody seems to know all these steps. And I'm sure you're watching this right now going, I knew all this shit. And that's great, you knew all this, but more likely than not, if that's even a sentence, you probably weren't sticking to these steps, okay? It can be hard, it probably will be hard at some point, but it doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. It can be enjoyable if you stick to these steps, and you will see results if you're consistent. Be patient, don't expect it to happen overnight, guys. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you get some value out of it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Please let me know if you've enjoyed it, if you're watching it on Instagram or wherever, and share this with someone if you find some value from it. But I appreciate you watching, and I hope you've taken away some value from this video.